Guten afternoon. My camera broke and I spent the last hour trying to fix it and it was such a pain in the butt. And so now it's noon, so that's that. I don't know. I tried something a little bit different. Welcome to your awful 240p. This isn't sponsored by White Claw, but I am showing the logo at the start of the video so you know how much of a basic bitch I am before we get into this episode. Yeah, I had a stressful morning. That's all I'm going to say. Welcome to Coffee and Co-op. I've thrown the coffee out. We've got the camera working, which is great. We've got our FPS. It seems, I think I have actually fixed all the bugs that I introduced since I moved everything around. And just the logo on the can, not the one behind me. No, I mean, that's parody, right? So, also, why was my camera in high frame rate mode? Like, what was going on there? I need to get a new camera. You know, my goal for this summer was to get a new camera. And then everything happened, and I'm like, well, certain types of things I have a budget set aside for, like the graphics card, you know? Every year when I do my taxes and my finances, I set aside a certain amount of money that I'm going to put maximum towards computer expenditures, right? For me, that ends up being somewhere like, you know, like $2,000 a year just for components and whatnot. Nothing really came out this year. I didn't buy anything for my streaming setup this year. So I was like, well, I'll probably get this RTX card when it comes out. And that was like the only thing I had bought really, aside from the monitor. So the whole budget basically went there. And I was like, maybe if I can have a good summer, we can change that. But we'll get there eventually. Let's finish Stetmann. How does that sound? I think we've had too many Stetmann episodes. Stetmann is multiple episodes more than the other commanders, and that triggers me. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Speaking of components, you seen the AMD event? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did get a chance to see the AMD event. It was awesome. It was awesome. The AMD event seemed really cool. I mean, the IPC increase that they were talking about, everything with moving all the computer parts to one CCX, it all looked great. For anybody that isn't a nerd, for anyone that's not a nerd and wants to know what I'm saying without me going into a nerd level explanation, my current CPU is like 4 CPUs glued together, right? That's kind of how Ryzen CPUs work. This is the most low-level explanation I could possibly give. The new one is like, not only did we make them faster, but now it's like one giant CPU instead of 4 smaller CPUs glued together. There you go. That is the most that I could possibly attempt to simplify it.
Minions, defend the objective with your lives.
Spawn more overlords.
I always get low FPS with Stetmann though. That's like, it's like X equals 5, right? It's given.
Overlords, you need them.
I didn't hotkey my hatch. You just buy whatever Newegg recommends every 3 years. Newegg must love you. Newegg must love you.
Overlords.
You need them. I know.
Minerals pay the bills. Mine more. Kinda low on the minerals.
It works. No, hey man. If you're happy, I'm never going to tell you to live your life differently. Unless you're like, I'm happy because I murder people and kick puppies. In which case, you know.
Grow on trees, you know.
As much of a bleeding heart of a person as I am, turns out, you know, you don't have to be on one side of a fence to be about wearing tank tops, waving flags, and firing machine guns up into the air. You know what I mean? Or I guess maybe I should say, just because I like wearing tank tops, waving my flag, and firing machine guns up into the air does not mean that I would tell you how to live your life. As long as you're happy, man. Whatever works for you. Computers are like really big, expensive Legos in my mind. That's how I view them. Whenever I explain it to somebody, you know? Are you smart enough to work on a car? Have you ever worked on a car? Working on a computer is not even remotely close to the same level of difficulty. I would be terrified to open up the hood of a vehicle, but I'd have no problem putting together a computer. But every time I talk to a car person and they talk to me about what it's like to work on cars, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like computers. I feel that, Rishnix. I feel that. But I guess I should, like, I mean, this is my job, right? The gaming stuff is my job, so. I hope you don't ever feel bad that I have a good computer or something, because, I mean, this is like if you were, you know, a traveling salesman and you spent a bunch of money on suits so that you could, you know, go make house calls or whatever, right? It's basically, that's what I'm doing. I want to have nice graphics and high quality so that when you guys see my stuff, you guys are like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. That's all I want. Wait, what? What? Is that? Wait. Nani? What?
Yes.
You're Kerrigan. She's not a Zerg.
What? I will do it. Command received.
Make it.
I am listening.
I'm just, you know, I'm not about dating the aliens with the carapace.
Hybrid signature detected.
Well then, we'll have to do something about that.
Excellent.
What am I building this game, guys? What's the plan? What's the plan here?
Ready for activation.
I want this to be really easy to go mass infestors, or am I crazy? Right? This is a mass infestor situation. It's Prestige Carrigan. Dude, that's awesome. What ended up being the problem? I don't know. I reinstalled all the hardware drivers, including the chipset. Loading a game is what caused it to crash. The last thing I did to fix it after the last freeze was to move it to... I thought being on the CPU chipset would be better, but... Or, I don't know. There's chipset USB 3, there's... The chipset has its own USB, but then there's USB ports that are tied to the... then there's USB ports that are tied to the motherboard itself, like from the chipset, and then there's some that are fed directly by the CPU, like the actual computer processor. But like the USB 3 ports on my computer are all 10 gigabit per second USB ports or whatever. Like, and it's been working. I didn't change anything. I didn't really change anything other than accidentally unplug it from apparently the one USB port that just doesn't have any weird issues with it. The only reason things started derping is because I put the 3090 in because I moved my computer to a different case. And when I did that, you know, it had the unintended side effect of, yes, I unplugged all my USB devices and I didn't know which one I put the camera on. Obviously, upgrading my graphics card should not result in, I don't think upgrading my graphics card would be the culprit. The result of, I don't think it's like, oh, your graphics card's faster. Well, now your camera's just gonna freeze a bunch. And I'm like, oh, I can play Resident Evil at 4K, 120 FPS, but I can't run a 720p camera over USB 3.2 Generation 2. That's what my USB ports are. It's 3.2 Gen 2. Bandwidth should not be a possible problem, especially because it already worked before. I'm just glad it's working now. All the poor people that were like, I'm excited for coffee and co-op are like, oh my God. Nathan had the worst freaking day ever before he started recording this. Yeah, well, you know, just grab a beer, okay? That's all. If you're not old enough to have one, don't have one. That's illegal. Statellite coverage in this map is like Babby's first game of co-op though, right? Like, it doesn't really get easier than this. Nate, you probably need to actually build those units that you were planning on using this game, you know? You keep on trucking. What kind of beer do you enjoy? Well, right now I've got a White Claw because it's
Yes.
the enemy's biomass will protect. What does she say? What's the line? Line? Not of cocaine, Charlie Sheen. No, I'm talking about my line. What's my line? That's one of my favorite things to just randomly shout to. You catch all the theater kids right there, man. Someone's like, guys, they're going out to kill theater kids. People who were in theater in high school. How do we stop the serial killer?
Hybrid detected.
You just say
I
that.
made a hybrid named Sherman, but Gary got jealous and ate him.
Is that canon? Is it canon that Stetmann made his own hybrid? Is that really a thing? Or is guys, you can't just put jokes like that into the game. Did the people not realize you can't just joke about that stuff? Did Stetmann really make it? Did he actually make his own frickin' hybrid? Are we just gonna gloss over that? Seriously?
The temple is under siege from a void thrasher. Slay it before it deals too much damage.
I mean, hey, different strokes for different folks. Gary got jealous and ate him. That's fascinating.
Help me, or I will stop being your best friend.
Your allies are in battle.
Gary!
You cannot
I'm
warp them.
sensing cloaked units. We need some detection out here.
You simply that has to be morphed somewhere else. Your base is getting blasted. Poor thing's all out of energy. Your forces are under infiltration.
Void Thrasher neutralized. Hybrid signature.
Well, yeah, you gotta have your infestors tentacle each other for energy, right?
Hybrid.
Really? It's just a ghost?
Survive.
Really?
Systems online. I'm here to kick ass and chew your scum.
And I have no mouth with which to chew.
Volatile zenith stones.
Your forces are under attack.
Yeah, Stetmann didn't make hybrid at the end of Brood War. You know, somebody thought it would be a funny line to write, okay? But then they didn't realize that those of us who actually do care about the terrible story of StarCraft, just to be clear, StarCraft 2's story is awful, and I hate it. But I'm a fan of StarCraft, and I care about the story. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand what I mean? It's like being a Jets fan. You know, I'm not like a cognitive dissonance person. I know the Jets are terrible, but I still want them to win and be good. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say. The story's awful, but I'm allowed to ask for it to be better, even though I don't like it, you know? I think that's fair.
Enemy drop pods.
I think that's a fair take. Oh, look at that. My little dudes were waiting for you.
Cover the battlefield in Statelites. They're super helpful.
Amon has summoned a void thrasher. It will severely harm the temple for as long as it lives.
Oh, I gotta give the heals. Give the heals. Wait. Can her Kerrigan cloak? Is that what I saw? Yo, what is this prestige? Assimilation aura resource drops increased by 100%. She gets kinetic blast and crushing grip. Leaping strike and psionic shift are unavailable. So it just turns her into the regular Heart of the Swarm one. It just turns her into the regular Heart of the Swarm pre-reinfestation Kerrigan.
Volatile energy.
Hey man, that's cool. I'm down with that. Is this brutal? Yeah.
Down.
Are you saying Stetmann was involved in the secret hybrid mission from Brood War? Well, dude, I don't know if they're related. I'm just saying, if Stetmann claims that he's making his own hybrid and he's like actually doing that, aren't there implications to that? You can't just make it like, oh, everybody could suddenly make Tony Stark's Iron Man suit, like, duh, because he's dead now. There's a bunch of knockoffs. Like, what? Sorry, I got to do an early script reading of the next Avengers movie, and that's part of it. Is like, oh, we found his old warehouse, and some bad guys took over it as like soft serve toss 'em up villains for the new Captain America. It's seriously going to be in the next movie. None of you will believe me though, so it doesn't matter. Gotta love Stetmann. You know why they call him Stetmann? Because you get stat FPS. I don't know. That doesn't help. Never mind. Give me another chance. Give me another chance at that one later. No, it's the next Captain America movie. It's gonna be the next Captain America movie. It's gonna be an easy. It's like the opening cutscene toss-up villain. It's just a guy who like somehow got an Iron Man suit. That's all. That's how it starts. Thankfully, my spawned army of Zerg slaves are all still here, waiting for my command. Oh yeah, right. They spit the guys out.
Sensors are optimal.
The first 2 times wasn't enough. The third one will get him for sure. Let's see, you got him. You got it. It also allows them to answer the question of how these characters would deal with, oh! I just made all of that up, by the way, obviously. Someone's like, I'm gonna go right to Disney. It's over, Nathan. I finally found out how to end your career. You leaked it. Now the mouse is gonna kill you. Seriously though, I heard they do hire hitmen for people that leak Disney shit. You gotta be careful. It's not a joke. Of the things I've learned in this life, a big one was don't mess with the mouse.
The temple's activation is nigh. Continue our defenses, commanders. It is almost time.
I'm just gonna spread to the end of the map, I guess. Why not, right? Just YOLO.
It seems we will have to deal with more than one Thrasher this time. Make haste, commanders.
It's time to assimilate some resources.
That sweet 7 FPS when you drop 40,000 dudes with... I just have too many units, right? That's like the meme here. Just a little bit too many units coming from the infestors.
The enemy's taking fire at your forces.
Hybrid energy signature detected.
I can't wait to study those hybrid. After we kill them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Taking fire at your forces.
Yeah, Stetmann, you slut.
Your allies are in battle. Your allies' base is under attack.
Gary's been having a rough day with Nathan microing his infestors, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, let's get an Ultralisk Cavern. Fuck it. What am I fighting for? The best thing to do is to just have all the infestors neural each other because it generates free energy. It's okay if I neural his units because it buffs them. Does WandaVision mean Vision comes back to life? Well, if you've been paying attention to what they've been doing in the MCU, and I don't mean this as an insult. I don't mean that condescendingly. I just mean if you've been following what people have been talking about with the movies and the casting, there's been a lot of very big pushes towards multiverse stuff. So I am assuming that it's going to be like the end of The Flash season 1, if you guys have seen that, where it's like, hey guys, we did it. We closed the singularity. But it's like now there's rifts between the multiverse, right? Like the different worlds are becoming somewhat conjoined into one big old world. You know, New 52, whatever style, I don't know, or a Crisis on Infinite Earths, maybe type thing. Obviously, it's Marvel, so they're not gonna do, literally that, but I think it opens up the door for, like, anything, I mean, WandaVision could be a different reality that they were transported to. Vision could just be from a reality where he stopped Thanos, but then Thanos killed everybody and he was the only person left, like... I mean, if you really think about it, there's a million different ways it could plan out, right? Like, literally just a timeline where Vision actually kills Thanos, but, like, at the same time, everybody other than Vision dies, and he just leaves that universe, Like, theoretically, that could be one of the 17 million outcomes, right? Like, they could even open the show with a flashback to Doctor Strange seeing that and have the whole thing just be a vision in his head if they wanted to, right? Because they're really cool characters that you could actually do that with. And people would be like, well, the whole thing was just in Doctor Strange's head. I don't know. I got nothing. But apparently he watched 17 million different outcomes and saw several years into the future of it. That's all. I think WandaVision is going to be Wanda going through a complete mental break personally. Oh, I mean, could totally happen. We didn't level up our Stetmann. Do we try again? Do we do another? How long is this recording at? 22 minutes? Oh, it's a long episode, Nate. It's a long episode. Okay. We'll finish Stetmann tomorrow because we're almost at level 14. So we only need 2 more levels, right? We'll do 2 levels tomorrow and then we'll get the mutation done. Boom. Easy. Thanks for watching Coffee and Co-op. The cracked out Friday edition.